Ever wondered where plants come from? Plants come from tiny seeds. I'm sure you have seen seeds before, tiny seeds. And for example, this is a seed of beans. The seed of beans that is here, that's a seed of beans. This particular part is a seed of beans. And plants come from tiny seeds that grows in the soil. Plants comes from tiny seeds that grows in the soil, and they grow into a seedling and then a plant. So it starts from a seed, then a seedling, ling, then it grows into a plant. That's the cycle. So from a seed it grows into a seedling and then it grows into a plant. So, what are the words we need to learn to be able to understand this topic? We need to understand what a seed is, and we talked about what a seed is. A seed is the part of a plant that can grow into a new plant. Then we have the embryo. The embryo is the tiny plant inside the seed. We'll talk about that. Then we have the seed coat, which is a tough outer cover. Germination. Germination is the process by which a seed turns into a seedling, not into a plant. There are two major steps that take place when you are growing plants. So the first step that takes place is, you remember I said you have a seed turning into a seedling, and then from the seedling is turning into a plant. So in this process, from the seed turning into a seedling, what happens is called germination. While from a seedling turning into a plant, what happens is called growth. There are two different phases. So germination is the process by which a seed is changed into a seedling, while growth is the process by which a seedling changes into a plant. So let's go back to our content. Let's go back to our content. So, have you ever wondered what is a seed? Have you ever swallowed a seed while eating an orange before, or an apple, or a pawpaw, or an avocado? For example, these images that are here, we have an apple, we have a pawpaw, we have an avocado. Have you ever eaten a seed before? Now, seeds are usually found inside of fruits. They are found inside of fruit and they grow into new plants. Without seeds, we will not have new plants. So, what are the three major parts of a seed? The three major parts of a seed is the seed coat here. Then you have the the food store here, and you have the embryo. Those are the three major parts. And so, what is the seed coat? The seed coat protects the inside of the seed. For example, when you buy, let me say you buy beans, that brown part of the beans is called the seed coat. Then even if you buy an apple and you hit the seed of an apple, when you break that black outside part, that is called a seed coat. Next, you have a food store. A food store is the middle, this middle part here. This middle part here is called the food store. And what the food store does is that it gives the seed energy to start growing, So the energy required for germination, remember, for seed to turn into seedling, comes from the food store inside the seed. And then you next ask the embryo. The embryo is a tiny plant in between a seed. It's a tiny plant in between a seed. Let's go back to this image. Let's go to this image. So how does a seed grow? When you plant a seed, what does it take? A seed takes water and then begins to swell. And then when it swells, it produces this tiny embryo. This tiny embryo here, it produces the tiny embryo. Let me change the color so you can see it. It produces this tiny embryo here, this tiny embryo here, and then that tiny embryo turns into this, yeah. It start growing roots. This is the root, and then it starts growing the leaves. And so after that, the shoot. Remember, the root is the part of a plant that grows below the soil. So let's go back so we can be able to understand this very well. Imagine I have a plant. I have a I have my soil like this. Let me make it brown. Imagine I have my soil like this, and I have my soil like this, and then I have a plant. Imagine I have a plant like this now. So the part of a plant that grows inside the soil is called the root. This part is called the root. Why this part of a plant that grows above the soil, meaning up, that grows up in the soil, is called the shoot. So the part of a plant that grows inside the soil is called root. The part of a plant that grows above the soil is called shoot. So let's go back. So that's how seeds grow. So what makes a seed wake? What exactly makes a seed wake? A seed needs some specific things. A seed, what does a seed need? It needs water. A seed needs water. It needs water, warmth, and air. Those are the requirements of a seed. What does a seed need? A seed needs water, it needs warmth and air. What does warmth mean? It needs that place to be warm, not too cold and not too hot. And it also needs air. Those are the three things that a seed needs to germinate.